Telepathic communication is an intuitive process. Your intuition is your inner knowing. Accessing it and bringing it into your conscious mind where you can work with it requires a calm, receptive state. The messages that travel between you and your animals do so along a subtle energetic pathway. And it's a similar avenue by which you receive and hear your own intuitive voice. It's a process of sensing and interpreting subtle energetic frequencies. We are energetic beings. Everything that we interact with in life has an electromagnetic frequency, including thoughts and emotions. So there are things that I do every day or almost every day to strengthen my ability to move into this receptive state and to sense energetic frequencies. And I am going to share those with you. Certainly, having a formal meditation process is hugely beneficial. And that is a process whereby you learn to calm your mind, calm your nervous system, and clear out your thoughts. My life is such that I cannot do that every day. I do it certainly right before I do an animal communication session, but I can't get to it every day. So I have developed daily habits that I can do every day in short little bursts that do help keep me fine-tuned and help me stay tuned in. So let me recap what I just said. I'm going to break it down. I have notes, so if I'm looking down, that's why. So there are 4 things required for the process of animal communication. 1, a calm, compassionate presence. 2, a clear mind and the ability to clear out your own thoughts. You have to have an open space for the animal's messages to come into without interference from our own thoughts and our preconceived ideas about what we think they are going to say. 3, intuitive listening. So we have 1, a calm, compassionate presence. 2, a clear mind. 3, intuitive listening and a good relationship with your own intuitive antenna. And then 4, of course, the ability to read or understand energy. So the things that I do to support this process are, I'm going to give you probably 5 things. 1 is breath work. It sounds inconsequential, but it is not. So when I say breath work, and my process for that is a deep breathing, where I breathe in slowly to the count of 4, hold it for the count of 4, and let it go for the count of 4 or 5. So what happens there is when I start, and you will probably notice the same thing, I feel all this tension up here. And then with each breath, things relax. My body starts to relax. My breath gets deeper, more rhythmic. And the other significant part of this is focusing on the count. And the reason you want to focus on the count is because when you focus on something like that, it helps to clear your mind because you're just focusing on breath, you're focusing on counting, and the other thoughts tend to go away. And when you get to a point, where you're sort of rhythmic and all of that and things start to calm down, then you can either stop or you can then attempt to connect with your animals or connect with a tree or whatever. But breath is so relevant to this process that when I'm actually in the middle of a communication session, if I find myself, wandering or my mind is filling with other thoughts or I'm a little bit stuck, I will just stop and I will do this breathing process for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times, whatever it takes to get me back centered and focused on the animal that I'm communicating with. All right. So I do that several times a day, sometimes even more. And I would venture to guess that you would not have really good luck communicating with animals if you are not able to do this simple process. All right. The other thing that's really important that I do every day is I connect with nature. I either go out in nature Or if the weather doesn't allow it and I'm still in my pajamas drinking a cup of coffee, I'll look out the window and connect with nature intentionally. So if I'm inside, I look out at a tree or a cloud or a flower or whatever is out there for me to look at, and I focus on it. And I allow myself to feel the calming energy that nature provides. And then I express gratitude. And when you express gratitude, it raises your energy vibration. So gratitude might be, if I'm looking at a tree, I'll say, I am really grateful that I have a tree in my front yard to look at. And then I'll either say it that way, I am grateful for, or I will talk to the tree. I am so thankful for you. I am thankful that you provide this healing, balancing, loving, peaceful energy for me and my animals and my life every minute of every day. I am grateful that you provide a place for the birds to build a nest. I am grateful that you help oxygenate the air. I thank you for helping to oxygenate the air, right? This little process of connecting, I'll do it with birds, I'll do it with everything, is pretty powerful in getting your mindset right, in getting your energy calmed, and getting you connected with the natural world. All right. Another thing about that, which is a great thing to do, which I discovered on accident, is if you're out and about in a busy day, especially in traffic and all of that, if there's a nursery, a plant nursery nearby that has greenhouses and all of that, and I'm not talking about Home Depot and busy commercial places like that. I'm talking about, like, if you're in Spokane, Ritter's Nursery, someplace that's really just devoted to the plants and has greenhouses. If you just stop and walk through the greenhouses and feel the energy, notice the impact it's having on your body. Notice how much peaceful you feel, how the tension starts to go away. In that moment, you are tuning into subtle energetic frequencies. And anytime you can do that, it helps with the animal communication process. The other thing I do, and I do this every day, is I pick something in the natural world, an animal, a cat, a bird, my cat, my dog, a horse, whatever it is, a bee, a bumblebee, a honeybee, or I pick a plant, like a tree. And I will imagine myself being that being. And I will say let's say it's a tree. And I did this with a cottonwood tree the other day. I wonder what it's like to be you in the spring with everything is budding out. What does that feel like? And I slipped myself in my mind into the trunk of the tree, and instantaneously I felt this big surge of energy. And it was exhilarating. And I, of course, later I learned that, well, of course, in the springtime, after dormancy, the trees and everything, the big rush of energy and nutrients and water comes up, and then that supports the budding out and the leafing process. But imagine what it's like to be a honeybee flying around. Did you know that they see ultraviolet light? What would it be like to go through life seeing ultraviolet light? This is an exercise that I got from Penelope Smith, if you know who she is. And it's a fantastic exercise to keep you tuned into subtle energies and keep your mind open and clear. I do it every single day. All right, so the other thing I want you to do, or I suggest that you do, I don't want to tell you what to do, I invite you to notice the moments in your life where telepathy and intuitive knowing and sensing energy is already present. Because I can tell you that your animals are already talking to you telepathically. They're just waiting for you to kind of wake up and figure it out and understand what it is they're saying. So I have a client, I was at her house not too long ago. She has a standard poodle named Robbie. And I was there for an animal communication session, but before we started, she said, I want to know if Robbie likes his name. And I checked in with him, and it was like the reaction I got from Robbie was, it's all right, but it's boring. It's all right. I feel, he says, I sense from him, I feel that I have a name that's more regal, more proper. So I said that to his owner, and she said, well, yesterday I was just walking down the hallway, and all of a sudden, Roberto came into my mind, just loud and clear. And she said, I looked at him, and I said, Roberto, and he ran over to me, wagging his tail. He was all happy and everything. Well, that Robbie Roberto was talking to her, and he said, hey, I'm not Robbie, I'm Roberto. And she heard it. And proof was in his reaction to her, right? So notice those moments. Another example, the other day, I have a plant. It's up there, you can't see it, but it's way up high, and I can't see the soil, and I don't look at it very often because it's way up high. And I was in the room, and all of a sudden I just glanced up at the plant, and I said, oh, I need to water that plant. Oh, I'll get to it later. And then I went, no, I got to do it now. So I went and I got some water, and I climbed up on the ladder, and I felt it. It was bone dry. So what happened there? Did the plant say, hey, you human, get with it. I need some water? Possibly yes. But for those of us that have a slightly more left brain approach to life at this moment, let's just say that everything has an energetic frequency. Everything, including drought, dryness, dehydration, hydration, water. So because I work at sensing subtle energetic frequencies, I felt from that plant its state of parchment, of dryness. And you also have those moments. Maybe all of a sudden you think to yourself, I think I need to fill the water bowl for my dog. Now, of course, if your dog is, standing by the water bowl or going back and forth to the water bowl, obviously you can see that. But what if the dog is somewhere else entirely and you aren't getting those messages in a physical way? Well, you just sense the water bowl's empty. You might feel that vibration, or the animal may be telling you, hey, I'm thirsty. You may be sensing thirst from the animal. So what I'm saying is these things happen to us all of the time, and we brush them off. Notice them. Stop what you were doing and say, oh, that was interesting. I felt this, or I sensed this. What did that feel like when I sensed it, right? The other example, which we've all experienced, is when you receive a phone call from someone you are not expecting and someone you haven't heard from in a long time. The phone rings and that image of that person pops into your mind. And you think, oh, I think that's, Aunt Jeannie calling, or whoever it is. And sure enough, it's Aunt Jeannie. Well, what happened in that moment? Listen, that was telepathy. That was telepathic communication. The person on the other end of the phone had a vivid image in their mind of you picking up the phone and them having a conversation with you. They're dialing, they're intently focused on that one task, so their mind is cleared of everything else. That image, that message travels along a telepathic, subtle, energetic pathway, and you received it in your mind. That is telepathic communication. That sending images, clearing your mind, and focusing on that one image is exactly how telepathic communication works. So I am suggesting strongly that you pay attention to these things. It will help you open up to your own telepathic abilities, right? Okay. That's it for today. In my next video, I'm going to give you a very short and sweet strategy for connecting telepathically with your own animal.